A lot of lurking energies tonight, I see. That cleared it out. Well, good evening, good morning, guten morning. For those of you who have never watched me before or heard of me, I go by 8 Wind is Timeless. I'm the holder of the sacred infinite ball game that was created by the Hero Twins. And now I'm also the Galactic Daddy-O, sitting on the Galactic Patio, welcoming you all to the Galactic Patio. So thank you. Um, hmm. Trying to see where should I begin. So much has gone on these last 3 weeks. Um, when I say that things all start with a gentle sadness, they definitely do. Uh, but sometimes with sadness, there's gain. Sometimes with sadness, you see your purpose. You see your purpose. Many of you have watched know that my nephew passed earlier in the year. And then these past week, my son's best friend, um, we buried him Monday, 20-year-old, had acute asthma attack and pretty much passed because he didn't bring his inhaler. Didn't have his rescue inhaler with him. And so he passed. And what's funny, and I mean funny in a odd kind of way, is I had just met his mother 7-8 days before this, and I see this young woman, I mean young, in her 40s, just joyful and like silly, seeing my son with me. And she works somewhere where I do business, and seeing him, and was like, when are you going to come see me and all that? And I asked her name. He didn't know her name because they called her mom. And then seeing her 5 or 6 days later in total grief. And a young man that was at my house basically every day, every other day. I mean, the last 5 years, over in my house quite a bit in the last 5 years. So this wasn't the person we just met. This is the person that was part of our lives. And so as I sat there, and what's funny is I saw the purpose of me being involved while we were all sitting out in the cemetery. And let me tell you the coldness of a cemetery. We're all sitting out there. And again, they've got him all locked up. You know, a casket is a type of lock, you know, just like our doors. I've explained that many times. Anybody that's listened to me before, you know, caskets are doors. And we're sitting there, and then I see smoke coming out of the chimney stack of this place, where this place is burning someone while we're sitting out there, you know. And I'm like, I'm looking at the smoke, I'm looking at the exhaust, and I'm like, wow, how cold are you that you would have to cremate someone where we're all out here? But I was saying my purpose. And how do I want to say this? I guess I'll start when we're all getting ready. I mean, we had people flying in from North Carolina. We had one young man came in from Arizona, and they were staying in my garage. You know, they made my garage like a little apartment when the weather's nice. And so as I'm getting ready, as I've said many times, I pray before I take my showers generally. And when I hit the name Shock, because there's 3 names, Shock, Shalalak, Talalak. saw the wind spirit of South America. In some ways, the quadriquotral, but amongst the wind creator spirit. I just noticed that when I said the shock name, it was like it echoed, and I didn't, I was like, wow, okay, that's a little different. But it, and just going through the paces of looking at the day, I noticed, but didn't really pay it a lot of mind. So we're out there, and they of course, families don't know what to do. They're going to bring a Christian in or Catholic in, whichever one they use, because they don't know better. They don't know who else to use in a spiritual situation and putting someone to rest. They just don't know what to use, and so they use the traditional thing. And so I'm sitting out there, and it's 90 degrees. It's 90 degrees. Monday was 90 degrees here, or yeah, 90 degrees. And so we're all dressed up, and the wind picks up as we're out there. Now, I experienced this once before. One of my cousins suddenly passed, and I didn't realize how I brought the wind in to thank everyone for coming and celebrating him. And I was able to bring that wind in, and not only was I able to bring the wind in, I was like really on point on what my point of why my participation was needed, because he was a regular Christian, I was able to unlock every lock he tried to make and put this young man in. And I was like, this is my purpose of why I'm here. And so it was very easily to do. But it was interesting how he just kept going into lock after lock after lock, trying to push him into the light. And as I sat there, I was just able to counter everything he did. And so the final gush of wind came in, and I was like, okay, he was able to go to the right place. So I wanted to tell that. Because sometimes if you're spiritual, you'll never know why you're needed. Because I really didn't go there to practice anything. I was just showing respect to this family, but it called for me to practice. And so when it is someone that I did have love for, no doubt. So I saw my purpose. So who we got with me? Strong discernment. Yeah, it's been about 3 weeks. Dr. Sinister. Hey, Adolph. Jessie Lynn. There she is. PJ, what's happening, PJ? Hey, Rocky. Man, how is it today? How is it down there today? Hey, homie, what's happening? Well, thank you. That is very kind of you to say, homie. I appreciate it. Hey, what's up, Gray? A lot of other things kind of went on too. Hey, necessary evil. Another, Jody kind of made me look at like handlers in my life where I didn't really understand. Now, I was a decent athlete, as I've said before, in my young days. And it made me realize who the handlers were in my life, because I looked at these people and I was like, there was this one cat, he had to be. And then there was another cat. And then I saw how when I went to college, I was handed off. I mean, literally, this is how one of my handlers came into my life. He knocked on my dorm room. I had a big bong, like a 4-foot bong in the middle of the floor. And then we would like sleep from the previous night, early morning. And he knocks on my door, gave me some loot, told me who he was, and he came into my life. Later, gave me a job. And I'm sure he was one of the ones that steered me my first efforts of going into law enforcement, which I later got a criminal justice degree. So I brought that up in a post on Facebook, but there was a second part I brought up. And the second part was of the negative handlers, because all these other handlers weren't really negative, but there were some negative handlers that definitely held me back. And one of the negative handlers, I was just saying, I'm gonna deal with them. Just because they went beyond that they can still be dealt with. Well, I'll share this. So this morning I know it's about time to wake up. And so I'm into that pre kind of still dream waking up. And one of these cats' sons came to me and he apologized. He's like, my father wants to tell you that he apologizes. And I was like, wow, wow, wow. So even though you may have intentions of going to war, you don't necessarily always have to go to war. So, hey, Tree. Yeah, Tree, they definitely did. It's rainy here in NC. Okay, Rocky, it's rainy. Okay. Yeah, because I remember one thing I remember about North Carolina, it was always a rainy season. Like the football games and practice was never rainy, but like school days, it was rainy. Like it would rain all day during classes, then we go to practice, it wouldn't be raining. So I remember living on the coast and having all that rain. Yeah, the Vikings seem to be some kind of stuck with that. But that's how it's all played out. Um, you can see muggy and dang rainy. Like here, like my daughter's staying with me this week, and here it's getting in the 40s. Like it, as I mentioned, Monday was 90. Tuesday it rained and it was 60, 30-degree swing. So now the nights is getting into the 40s. So we have the weather changing. And I'll say this: been picking up playing pickleball quite a lot, playing doubles, really getting in shape. I'm in pretty decent shape. I've been playing almost nonstop for the last 3-4 weeks. So nice little habit. And I'll say this: we played a lot of one-on-one, which is more vertical moving. But I started playing doubles with all the old folks, and them old folks can play. And it's a lot of upper body swinging. It's a lot like badminton, but you're playing with a livelier racket and a livelier ball. Well, I mean, if you can play, you can hit the ball really, really hard. So, Conspiracy University, cold front here in Houston. It's nice. But today it was 70. I mean, it was nice. I mean, you could see where everybody was having jackets, but it was decent today. Wore the wrong shoes one night and kind of tweaked one of my. I got cleated in college on my right Achilles. I've had a repair on the left one, and so wore the wrong shoes one day working out, kind of tweaked it. So my Ritchie braces have helped. Played yesterday, didn't play this morning because they play early. They play 7 in the morning, and it's packed. It's like 8 pickleball courts, and it's packed with people at 7 o'clock in the morning. So. Gosh, it's so much going on, and I'll say this: one thing that's for spiritual people, just as I teach that, and people don't love May enough because May is the long days. In May we have the 13 to 15-hour days. Well, as today we are in the first day of autumn, and I did come on tonight because this is the last night of the full moon energies. The full moon, you really can celebrate 3 days before. This is the last night of the 3 days. So, thank you, CWE. Thank you. In pickleball, you got to be unpredictable. Change it up, velocity, your swing when it's least expected. And I'll tell you one sweet move a dude threw on me. Like, you can hit an angle where you have the net, but you can hit the line where it don't go over the net. I've done that a few times myself, but I know some dude got me like that, where you can go and the ball doesn't go over the net, that you can actually hit the line where it goes sideways of the net, and it's still a good play. But yeah, sometimes it's pity pat, because what's surprising you is like I slammed one at this lady older than me, and I'm 60. She was about 65. She returned it. And then sometimes you just drop it in. So yeah. Moon energy has its grips on me the past few days. Oh, thank you, PJ. Thank you. Yeah, James, what's happening? Thank you for joining. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. We're gonna start going indoors in about 2 weeks. But we'll play outdoors until the snow really sweats and whatever. As long as it's dry, people play. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Found a new way to get in shape. That's what I like about it. The one-on-one, I would play 3 games with these two 19-year-olds, and we would literally be wiped out by the third game. Like, they really couldn't beat me, but the third game is when they were beating me, because I would hit a wall, because when you play one-on-one, it's a lot of lateral back and forth. and you don't think you work out as much as you do. Now, we played 3 games, and in 3 games, I did 2.5 miles on this confined court that's slightly not as wide as a tennis court. 2.5 miles. Yesterday, well, not yesterday morning, but the morning before, I played 3 doubles, and I still ran a mile and a half, technically mile and a half worth of distance. So to show you, you staying in shape, working, looking young, and like all the celebrities that I recruit. I don't know how young I look. My mother always says I shouldn't wear a beard but it's when you get older, and you still want to have the antennas connection, and that's what beards give you. They give you the antennas because you lose your hair on top. You still have the antennas. That's kind of what locks are kind of like antennas, So, and as they call it, the winter beard. That's another part. But thank you, homie. That is kind of you to say. But that's what it's about. As you get older, is eating better, and that's one thing that I've done is I've eaten a lot better the last 6 months. Never really been. I like chocolate and get the munchies and get reckless. My days of frosties and stuff like that are over. But for the most part, I'm plenty of fruits. As you know, I don't really eat pork. Don't really eat pork. So it's not hard for me to change my diet the way I should. I won't ever grow a beard. It's funny. I used to always cut off my mustache every now and then. And I remember my father cut his off, and he just looked so strange without a mustache. And my father he started dyeing his hair at my age. And I'm like, not really. Um, why no pork? Just don't really have a taste for it anymore. Pork is very high in saturated fats. And just preparing pork is really, really tough. You really have to prepare it right, or you'll get parasites. And that's the thing. And most people don't know how to prepare it. So I really not a big pork eater. Like every now and then on a pizza, every now and then on a burger, and I've really kind of cut out the breads and burgers. But so that's kind of why I don't really like pork. It really has to be prepared right to get the parasites and treat it to get all the parasites out. And so, like what you can do to test yourself if you do eat pork, do a cleanse and see what comes out of you in the cleanse, and that can tell you if you're preparing the pork right. Because pork is a white meat, But I like salmon, and there's 1,000 ways to prepare salmon. So I really like seafood. I try to almost eat sardines about every other day. I eat a can of sardines too. I take fish oil, but you get more of the vitamin in the in the sardine. A little more of the omegas. That's the word I was looking for. It's funny, but like my work on saving, they don't care anymore. Like at first, for a year season before the 20 season, they was trying to hide him when I first exposed it. But what happens is they're like, so what? After a while, they are like, so what? But these ridiculous catches, and someone, if you ever catch this, whoever was on the comments and was saying there was a catch in Green Bay where the dude caught it with the grip glove, and he was going to the ground. The DB knocked it out of his hand, but you saw him catch it and control it. And I saw it too. And sometimes, sometimes it just like, how much more do I show? But someone pointed that out, and I did notice that too. And then I caught it on replay on something today, and he clearly had it with the grip glove, and the DB knocked it out of his hand. Because again, the gloves are meant to take it and hold it to your body. So yes, if you're holding it like this, it would be open to somebody slapping it. So, but it's funny watching plays. You can see when when there's when they're told to make a mistake is what I'm looking for. When they're told to make a mistake, you can kind of catch that. And I think a lot of people, the Lions receivers, the Lion receiver had caught the ball. He had caught it. And as he was going to the ground, the DB knocked it out of his hand. But he caught the ball. He clearly caught it with one hand. And I think I caught it on Peyton Manning and his brother's little thing. He clearly caught it. And you saw him with just one hand gripping it. So that's why I pointed out the Giants receiver. They do mocking. They try to discredit what we've shown them, but they can't discredit it. It's all fixed. So can't wait until one of their earbuds dislodges and falls out their ear and spill the beans. Oh, CW said he saw that too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it is just a matter of time. I think they're not going to be as sloppy as we see the TV people where their wires come apart. Again, helmets is going to be hard. Basketball and baseball is the ones we really need to look for. So that's the thing, is if you ever see it, in basketball or baseball, because hockey's going to be kind of hard too, just the way it moves. And I imagine that hockey, they probably use some kind of clear as well, because in case if it does dislodge. And I imagine, but we know the brothers, they use the colored ones, they use the color ones with the brothers. So, but it's just a matter of time. But even then, it won't be exposed. It won't be exposed. I mean, they're going on over 100 years of faking this thing, and so they're and their power is only growing. Now the kiosks are in the stadiums to bet. Now you can bet on every play. You can bet on freaking every play. So their power is only growing. So the crookedness is just going to continue. I mean, again, it's not Brady's not the first person to be 44-year-olds play quarterback. He's the first one to be successful. Because remember, even though Steve DeBerg played at 44, he wasn't as successful. And Brady has equaled, I think, George Blanda playing 4 decades, because George Blanda played in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. And Brady played in the O's, the 11s. No, maybe Brady's only three decades. So I don't think, Brady, no, the teens, yeah. So yeah, the O's, yeah, and the teens, yeah, he only played 3 decades, so he won't equal. But that shows you how fixed it is. It's like if he takes a real hit, and you notice the game he played against Kansas City, didn't get a hit one time. So they're not letting him get hit. And it's not a matter of their line is the greatest. You see a lot of extra holding allowed. I've showed a year before last where they going into their Super Bowl run, they let their center clearly clip a player, clearly blocking the back. And then moments later, we got Troy Aikman saying that's a good block to spring. But it was a clear clip in the back, nothing called. You can't help but think their scripting is fragile. I mean, even how dumb people are, they're now starting to push their luck, and it might backfire. That's a good point, homie. That is a good point. But for the most part, and that's why we say you can't really wake up people. It's too late for that. People ain't going to wake up. So I don't teach to wake anybody up because it's too late for that. People don't really care. And most people aren't sophisticated enough. Most people will never think that it's scripted. No matter what you show them, no matter if they're caught on tape saying it, people still won't believe it. So that's how gullible people are. And that's why, now, I've said this many times in the past, that's why when they give this business about, the sickness going around, there are some people, like right now, Antonio Brown, they say he's double loaded, fully loaded up, but yet he's tested negative or positive. So he's got 48 hours to try to test where he can play. But again, they do this to athletes because there's people that only relate to things through sports. There are people that aren't sophisticated. They don't watch politics. They don't watch their local news. They only watch ESPN. This is why you see the push with athletes, because the thing knows this. The thing knows that this is the only way that people get their information is through sports. So, so I wake up and I'm young. I love that. What's up with all the comedians dying? Hey, Mario's here. Lammy, what's up with the? Well, I mean, it's just the Emmy ritual. We just had the Emmys, and so that was part of the Emmy ritual. I mean, what they say, the cast of the original Friday, 8 people from that cast have passed. So, that's the price you got to pay. That's the price you got to pay. You ain't gonna have a natural death. You're gonna have your death, going by the numbers. Well, hey, there he is. What's happening, see over? Oh, I say I'm ready to see scripted WNBA. That's funny. They finally let Lamar beat Mahomes, and you know what was funny? And this is a mocking. Remember when Lamar 2 years ago, when they had the team that only won one game? You remember Lamar had the quarterback sneak and he ran into his man instead of trying to get the first down. Did you see how easy he got the first down the other night when he beat Kansas City? See, that was a mocking of him not doing it against Tennessee when they needed a first down against Tennessee in the crucial fourth quarter. But he got it in a regular season game. So do you see the mocking there? And that's what a lot of it is. It's mocking the fans. And fans, again, are too gullible to even pay attention to the mocking. Michael K. Brown, dad died before the Emmys. Do you think about that travesty game, Cowboys versus Chargers? I didn't see refs take a touchdown for celebrating. Technically, that's supposed to be afterwards. Yeah, the touchdown is supposed to be afterwards. It's supposed to be on the kickoff or the extra point. So, yeah, to take it off the board, yeah, that would have been wrong. They use astronomy for everything, to string everything, to tie everything together. Yeah, Mario, they do. They do to a point. They do to a point. That's all part of the ritual. Yeah, that's part of the ritual, too. Brown has a Jewish praying room with the Star of David in the wall. Looks real. Let me see. Antonio Brown has a praying room. Wow. What was funny, strong discernment, that you mentioned that. I was watching the Padres playing before I cooked everything up. And it was interesting. I watched one of the batters, and maybe it was the Twins game, but I want to say it was the Padres game. A batter, and he sit there and put a pentagram down before he batted. He drew a pentagram. I was like, wow, because they just showed him, and I was following what he made. He sat there and made a pentagram right there before he went. He drew in the dirt and he drew a pentagram. And the basic pentagram they use is a movement of Venus. You can get Coltrane kind of made. He made some music to that. There's a song name for the music, and I kind of haven't spoken in a while. So, but yeah. I caught that too. I caught that. So they used that energy. Liberty needed two teams to lose their final games, and they lose so Liberty can make the playoffs. Wow. CW, I'm not surprised. Yeah. The Ravens Chief of rivalry, there's no way that they were going to let the Chiefs whoop them every time. That's a good point. That's a good point. And they're trying to shine light again. They shine light on Lamar. They shine light on Mahomes, on Patty Mahomes. So the way they're doing it, you're seeing a lot of light shine on David Carr, and David Carr is not really better than his brother, I don't think. What's your thought on the Raiders? Yeah, that's the thing, is their Raiders are going to be there. Remember what they did to the Knights. The Knights did the same thing when the Capitals did when the Capitals came in 72. They let the Capitals go to the finals and lose. And so the Knights go to the finals their first season and they lose. So don't be surprised if they push the Raiders through. So defensive wise, they got a decent defense, some good athletes on there. That new receiver's quick. And so he's going to be hard to match one-on-one. And Gannon reminds me of a quarterback name that the Raiders had before, named Darryl LaMonica, who just had a strong arm. Wasn't terribly accurate, but he had two fast receivers. But he had a lot of oomph on the ball. And that's what he kind of reminds me of. So why are they killing all the... I don't know if it's any more than normal. I think just people pay attention more, but it's just part of the sacrifice. It's part of feeding what's out there. I mean, the price of fame is hell. And for that little bit of fame, you got to pay. You got to pay. Whatever Lola wants, Lola gets from damn Yankees. Bedazzled. There's a price. So this fame looks good, but there's a price. There's a price, and it's not the selling your soul. You're selling your energy signature. You're selling the thing that will live on forever. And so they want their blood, and when it's time for their blood, I mean, it's like a vampirism, really. It's like you've agreed to be bit in the neck. Bedazzled. You sign your name on the hologram. It shows you doing your thing, and you sign your name over you doing your thing. That's what the contracts look like now. It's not the blood anymore. It's you're looking at a live picture of you singing, dancing, whatever you do, and you're signing over that while you are moving. It's like that Harry Potter newspaper. It's the same shit. And so when it's time for you to be called, they come up with a way. They come up with a way. I mean, Jonathan showing about all the murder, the murders of the rappers is brilliant work. I don't even think that work really needs the numbers involved, gematria, because it's clear that these young men are getting murked for being rappers, and some of them don't even have real fame. And that's the same thing as we have, the live shows now. And I'm old man, but the reality TV. You've seen all the people, like, remember that show 16 and Pregnant? Look at the number of young women that got murked from that show. And so now just a little bit of fame they're starting to take, because this is the thing, is the way they did their rituals in the past was people that had fame for long terms. But with the invention of this, and we've seen a number of YouTube brothers and sisters getting taken off. I mean, hell, the young lady now is a YouTuber. I mean, probably people missed that part about it, but she was a YouTuber, this young girl. So do you see, even in that ritual? So it's like you ain't even got to really be famous. So that's why this thing that now they like it better. They like it better the way it is now. You don't have to wait to a person. You don't have to put all this investment in people. There's not a big investment that the thing has to put into people anymore. And that's what they used to be, is you used to have to put a heavy investment into people, and then you can, take their energy signature, but not anymore. Not the way it goes now. Script are Kyler Murray with the Raiders, Cardinals, and teams like Titans and Colts getting. I would say add the Steelers too. Big Ben is just there to lose this year. They're not going to go far. Raiders are the top tier. Yeah, he is Dr. Sinister. Yeah. Lola is always hungry. There you go, Sarge. Yeah. Do these celebrities know they only have a certain amount of time? No, because that would make you anxious. You see people freaking out because they think it's coming, and they're seeing the things around them, because a lot of times they're always being stalked. But it's like when it's time, the people pick up on when they're being stalked more. It's like their movements are being watched a lot more. They're being synchronized a lot more. And so some of them start freaking out and panicking. That's why it's good to keep some of them high and stuff, so they don't see all this stuff, or drunk, whichever thing that they, that's their thing. Because as it gets closer, they know that the eyes are on them more. It's almost like a mafia hitman, that dude is watching you. You may not know, but he's watching you. And that picks up. And there's some people that are able to pick up on that. Most people are so in their life, they don't know. They don't really know. Or they don't pick up on it. Because this is things that go fast. I've been in a couple of shootings, and to shoot somebody goes fast. I mean, it's almost like you are in an event, and then if you got to shoot somebody, you know how quick it happens? I mean, this dudes that murder people that don't plan it. It's just like something happened. They just murder somebody, shoot somebody, stab somebody. Do you know how quick that action goes? And then you have a lifetime to go sit and think about it. But it's a quick action. As I think last time I was saying, one thing that Spike Lee did when he showed Malcolm smile. I mean, that's kind of how it goes. It's like when it's time, you're like, oh. I mean, and they catch people like mid-stride. The person is like thinking they're taking another stride forward, and boom, you taken out. And mix drug and alcohol with that, dependency issues. They can only so they do, but it's not given to them. They're not told all that. They're not told about, like somebody said, astrology, the numerology, the gematria. They're not told all that. That is up to them. They look at, the blood, the name, and then, who do we need to put into it? Again, it's just depending on the ritual. That's why, we've showed before, any of these type of Emmys, Oscars, you're always going to see people dying. You're always going to see people dying before them. Super Bowl, we pointed to the Super Bowl, what, 2 years ago? The Super Bowl was like 21 athletes got killed. I think it was 19, the 19 Super Bowl, something like 21 people got killed in the 2 weeks. NBA Finals pointed that out. Hockey's not, golf. And these things come up. The thing about golf is it's silent because people don't follow a lot of the old golfers. So when golfers get taken out, you don't really know. But same with tennis. Tennis can be under the radar. You never know. So and so's dad died. Old tennis player died. It's not like the other sports or like the movies. These are silent sports. So these are people taken quietly. They don't want, because think about it, the quietness that you have in tennis and golf. There's not a lot of fan roaring only at certain times. Whereas football and basketball, people are constantly roaring. Those sports are more quiet. And so the way the deaths go, the deaths are a little quieter. So you don't really hear about them. Hey, Reese, how you doing? Yeah, it's happened to, yeah, exactly. These women have died from 16 and pregnant. Yeah, exactly. They're using everyone. It's just a little fame. Exactly. Just a little tiny fame. And they always need new blood. That's right. Hey, Alito, what's happening? Thank you for joining. After signing, their entire time is mandated on what they have to do. Yeah, well, and two, they want, and keep this in mind, they want the person to peak as well. So even if you're a minor person, they still want to see where your peak is. And so because you had a peak, the blood means a little more. That's again why they went, they showed you the thing with Prince and they showed you with Michael, how the whole ritual was enhanced more, because again, it was like bringing a star out of the sky. We have stars on this planet, but when someone like that goes, the ritual is, there's so much that went into making that ritual. And as I've said, there's so much invested in them that's a different, larger type of ritual. But for these average people we see in this getting pulled out, they let them peak. They don't kill them before they peak. Whatever their peak is, like the young man that was in the Fridays, he really didn't really have a true peak. He had some glimpses of what he was, but his, and some of these people, their peaks are years ago. Keep that in mind. Like him, his peaks was years ago. I would guess I got to hook up what probably was his peak, because this guy was alcoholic, and I think he spent some time in prison too. And so that's how I guess that's a question on how to gauge when they're going to take them. You look at them after they peak. That's why I was so worried about the brother that's saying Quicksand, because hopefully Quicksand isn't his peak. Hopefully he has more coming. But imagine if Quicksand is just his peak. It's not hard to say or predict that something weird could happen to him, because that's just how they do it. But he didn't sell out. I don't know about Chris Rock. Chris Tucker, excuse me. Because he was out there. So his time, but I'll say this. And I don't even know. I think in his own way, he's thinking he's insulating himself somewhat, but he's already done it. So, he had those movies that you probably would say Rush Hour was probably his peak. So now it's just a matter of time. And I'm thinking that he's probably trying to insulate himself from some of the evil, but when it's time to go, it's going to still be his time. There's no way to get around it. Did you see Jonathan almost got butt naked on a live with Zach? He didn't know the camera was still rolling. He sounded like that liberal, that conservative dude that was on the Zoom call. And the Zoom call ended, he started going at it. He started joking his shit. He's still on the thing, and man, I ain't seen him back. I mean, he's been on a few things, but not like he used to be. No, I didn't see Jonathan do that. So is being a celebrity, HD still says, is being a celebrity a form of slavery? Not to the person that signs it all away. Not to the person that signs it all away. What was his name? Rudy Ray, that Eddie Murphy played with. Remember what he kept saying? You know, the Dolomite, what did he kept saying? I'll do anything for fame. I'll do anything for fame. And so they don't mind, because if you watch the TV show Madonna and Rodman, Rodman was like, let's just go kick it, go to the mall and kick it. Madonna's like, I can't do it. I'm like, we gonna get, bum rushed. We can't do it. And he's like, oh, yes, we can. And sure enough, remember the movie showed them where they were bum rushed. Again, you had celebrities had to go out, wearing disguises and shit, because it does become a type of slavery. It becomes a type of isolation. You're not a regular person. Now, I mean, signing autographs at first is cool, but after a while, when you had a bad day, do you really want to sign, autographs when you had a bad day? And then the way the cameras are on you all the time, even if you had a bad day, you still have to perform. But that's the aspect of it. You've got people always at you. So yeah, it is. It is a type of slavery. I started talking about Chris Tucker 30 seconds before you did. Regina King and Ice Cube need to answer some questions about Friday Cast. Absolutely. He was on a plane with Epstein. Yeah, that's what they showed. The other comedian was too, Day Mike Epps. I think Mike Epps was shown to be the Epstein. And who was the cat that showed? Somebody was showing the Epstein interview. BLN or B something, Brian something. He was showing. It was funny. With, not Epstein, but Bill Gates. And and I've said this about Bill Gates, and this is what you have to understand where Epstein came. And if you watched me before, I said this before. You had a lot of nerd lames that couldn't get hoes. Epstein helped these billionaires get hoes. These dudes, they ain't had no game. They ain't had nobody their whole life. These is lames. And so Epstein was the one that introduced these lames and showed the lames how to get hoes. I mean, even with money, some people with money still don't really know how to go after women like that. And that's what Epstein did for these dudes. And that's what Epstein did for Gates. Not just Gates having an affair with one of the interns, but actually pulling chicks. Because he could never, you've seen Gates, he's never pulling chicks, whatever he married, that thing, whatever that thing is. But you see, this is what Epstein did for these people. These people that's lames, they couldn't get chicks. That's where Epstein came in. He could get women for them. So when they claim Friday movie is cursed and Poltergeist is cursed, well, Poltergeist had a good message, and Poltergeist was showing that, you built over these lands, and now the people are coming back to get you for building over these lands. So Chappelle was replaced. Could be. Chappelle didn't want to sell out, but he couldn't resist the fame, so they eventually got to him. Yeah. I guess if we're saying his peak was the Chappelle show, could be. I would probably say his peak was at the specials after he came back, because after he came back, he got more acclaim. So. Wait till Bill Gates' money run. His money ain't gonna run out. Epstein access to fashion models, though. Not like you would think. Not like you would really think. Not like you would think. Look at a lot of these cats, and it's the thing. I think this is like when Sly gets on some of these people that got this YouTube fame, and they pulling women from YouTube. That's how lames are. Lames really can't attract women like that. Like, women is about confidence. And some of these people don't have the confidence to approach women. Just don't naturally speak to people, don't naturally have that gift of just, hey, how you doing, and keep it going, to keep the minds working together. Some people don't naturally have that. And so money ain't going to replace that. I mean, yeah, if you want to call up or, get a hooker like that. But I'm saying going out, having fun, they just really wasn't built like that. If you look at their lives, Epstein was the one that helped them usher in to that kind of thing. Laquan, what's happening? Thank you for the kind words. When he came back is when he said out and sacrificed Charlie Murphy. Yeah. And I saw Charlie Murphy. Be like maybe 6 months before he passed. He was here. He was with Eddie Griffin, Hewley, and Sid, the entertainer, at Target Center. What about old actors like Harry Belafonte? um, of course, of course. I mean, he had a hit. That Deo was a hit. Carmen Jones. Carmen Jones was probably his peak. Deo, the song, and Carmen Jones was probably his peak. And so his time will come. However, he is still serving a purpose for them because he's a type of gatekeeper. And so they seem to be keeping him around. But again, he was an agent during the civil rights. Don't think these people that was actors just was in it. No, they was agents watching. Like I was saying, what is it, reels, movie reels, or something like that. That brother was talking about, and something that I witnessed firsthand is all these brothers were dating these European women, and all the European women was agents. So here they are talking all this integration, Black Power stuff, but they quoted one of Eldridge Cleaver's, one of his statements, but he has something I think he's called the Lazarus effect. And again, like to my father dating a European woman was more than a trophy for him. I mean, it made him who he was. My father was in his 30s, and my mother's very fair, but it wasn't enough. He and many others did not feel like men unless they had European women, especially these educated dudes that's got masters and doctorates. They did not feel that they made it till they dated or married a European woman. And that's how sad that they all were. And as I said again, a lot of these women was infiltrators. They was smashing multiple brothers, but they was spies. They was agents working for them people. And these people was too naive. They really thought it was their ego. They didn't understand the game, that they was controlled. And see, some of these people was controlled just by this, being them with them women. I'm saying some of them, that was how easy it was controlled. Just pussy controlled them. That's how easy they was controlled. Charlie, hey, thank you, Dread. Epstein was not bad looking. I guess that's taste. Thank you, though, Dread. That is cool. How do you feel about so-called YouTube gender war? I'm seeing a lot of people not wanting to date or build anymore. Well, I mean, dating is a kind of thing where it's kind of wearing out too. What I've run into is chicks that just like meals being bought for, and I'm kind of like done with that game. Just buying, because that's kind of what it's turned into. Is women just want meals bought, and women will have multiple, just meet people to get a free meal, and that's kind of sad. So I hope you guys aren't experiencing that, but I'm able to step back and see that kind of thing. Charlie was held back. I'll tell you a funny Charlie Murphy story is when Eddie didn't really have a place for him. And he said that when he first started going with Eddie, he was kind of like, bodyguard like thing. And somebody would be in the audience heckling, and Charlie would go out in the audience and for heckling his brother. So that was kind of funny, I thought. He never told that story. Well, people sharing the work, that's another thing to build. Yeah. But yeah, people don't de-still. I agree. Other brothers who don't serve the purpose get taken so quick. That's why they look at Jimi Hendrix, anti-war, anti-event. No, Jimi Hendrix was a little more. And I've said this before. I'm pretty sure that a lot was knocked off of me of my studying Jimi Hendrix. But see, I got pinged by Jimi Hendrix the day he died too. So it was kind of double. And I've told this story before. My father was a football coach in the 70s. It was my weekend to be with him. And we were going to a football game early Saturday morning, and we stopped somewhere because normally we would have sardines and crackers before we'd go to the high school. And that morning we was eating the sardines and crackers, and he just happened to grab a paper and was like, damn, Jimi Hendrix died. And that pinged me. And that opened me up to like, who is this dude? I had no idea. My mother had some ideas, and Jimi Hendrix was obviously murdered. I mean, you don't get both lungs filled with wine and think that you die of throw up. No, he was forcibly killed. And that's something I started off talking about my prayer. That's part of my prayers, and the wind cries Mary. But his music definitely will break things off of you. It will open. Now, I know a lot of music comes off of the CD. I would say get one of his albums And some of that music can break a lot of this fog off of you. I know that's what helped me as a young person, is it broke a lot of falseness away from me of studying his music and studying the man. But studying his music, a lot of that is broken off. And it can open you up to a lot of, and I don't say negative things, I say a lot of positive things. So, and the harmonics was made a little different with him too. But the gym, yeah. But that those points are if you looked at Albert, oh, let me finish with Jimmy. So if you looked at Albert Lee was in Vietnam and got sent home because he got injured, and Albert Lee was a guitar player. And Albert Lee, 2 weeks before he was in Vietnam fighting, and then 2 weeks later he's on the stage with Jimmy at Woodstock. Jimmy was supposed to go on the same night as after Sly, and Sly was, 500,000 people. It was like overnight, it became something like the seventh or eighth biggest city in the nation overnight. This is how powerful the baby boomers were. And Jimmy was about to come on. He would have freed a lot more minds. And again, if you look at how long it took them to release the Atlanta festival that did have 500,000 people in it, by the time Jimi Hendrix played at Woodstock, it was only 35,000 people there. So he missed the peak of opening up a lot of minds, and that's why they held him off for that. They called him closing the show, but really he should have followed Sly Stone. A lot of high-end athletes date Europeans, of course. I hate that free meal shit. It's I spends no money on meals. There you go. And that's what I see. Albert Lee's still alive. Yeah, I think so. I caught him playing, who did they say? I was listening to the other day. Somebody did a little thing about Albert Lee. He's still active. He's what's his name came here? Buddy, Jimi Hendrix bass player. He's still alive. They came here. What is it? Dwizzle came here, and they brought the band of Gypsies. I want to say before Buddy Miles passed, he was here too. Billy Cox, that's the name I'm looking for. But Billy Cox came here maybe 5 years ago with Dweezil, whatever Dweezil is. I can't think of Dweezil's last name, but he was touring with the band of Gypsies, and they came at 4th Avenue. Where Prince shot Purple Rain. 4th Avenue. You see the club scenes there in 4th Avenue. They had a big reggae fest I was supposed to go to, and I don't remember, something happened. I didn't end up going, but the reggae fest down there, they let you get it in up in there. So I missed that. So yeah, I can't go too much longer. I do have to get up early. Alchemist Handbook. Hey, peace to you. Thank you. And so, I try to put a positive message out there, but yet I try to show the realities of what we all facing. That's the thing is you have to face it head on. You have to face danger, overcome your fears. And no matter how this thing is playing out, you have to still play. Once the thing moves, you have to move a different way. I mean, you see what's on television. You see how they're trying to program the kids. You see what they're doing with the mask on children. This is going to be a generation of asthma people, of respiratory problems. I mean, this is no accident. Maybe the children can't get the medicine right now, but they're making the children sick by keeping them with the mask. And if you think that's an accident, that's an attack on the children. There's no reason for children to wear masks all day. There's no reason at all. No rational reason. We know that masks are only to stop spit going into open wounds, not breathing paint fumes. The masks that children wear are not going to stop anything from coming to them. And so them wearing masks is an attack on children. And, the parents mostly lost. There's only a few people trying to stand up to this, saying it's up to the parents. But you see what the educational did. And this gets me, and this is the talking point, is like people say, well, you think you know more than the scientists. And then you point out how the scientists once said cigarette smoking was cool, endorsed cigarettes. Oh, that's 50 years ago. Still, they was the scientists of the day. Shit, there were scientists that thought that making you better was to bleed you. Doctors, still scientists, the science said that bleed you. Some you're sick, bleed you. You sick, cut you open, put leeches on you. Shit ain't really changed. I mean, if you are a person that investigates, you see patterns. You see patterns of corruption. So you don't have to be a scientist to see wickedness. And that's what I don't understand. And this is the thing you guys see too, is you see people in your own family or friends turning off and on from Smith. It's like 1 minute you talking to them, the next minute they Smiths. Out of nowhere, some shit just come about what's going on today and what you should do with your body. Just out of nowhere. And it's like, damn, Smith. And I'd be like, go away, Smith. But I watch some of my family members, they'll turn into Smiths just like that. And then it's like the Smith will tell his message, and just like nothing changed, they'll keep on with the conversation like nothing changed. And they don't realize for that time they was possessed, and they spewing the propaganda that they hearing right in front of your very eyes. You see the change, so recognize that. Recognize that. And I mean, bring it up, like, go away, Smith. You know, that Smith is the Matrix, you know, Agent Smith. Oh. Okay. Check out Squid Games. Oh, I watched some of that. I started watching that. I told my boy about you seeing Manson in Michigan. I told him about these people are actors. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I am positive the dude I saw was one of the Mansons. And that's how they do it. It'd be a couple of them people. That's why Dick Gregory was like, which Trump? But yeah, I saw Manson. I saw that cat that they said was Charles Manson. Definitely. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. That was one of him. But again, if you looked at the ritual, what Manson did, all of them actors, Sharon Tate, all of them, her man was a director. I mean, it was all to take people out of the communes, because people was like, fuck you. We don't want nothing to do with you. We're going to live in our own, raise our own children. So they found a way to fear that, kill the hippies. That was the other objective, was to kill hippies. That's why AIDS was just here to kill free love. You know, if you look at what disco was, there was a movie called Looking for Mr. Goodbar. You know, during the disco era, people just knew they was going to go to the bar and hook up. That's what disco, part of disco was about. New wave, it didn't really change when new wave came in. But when I was a young man, that's free love. And that's what AIDS wanted to stop, because there was a harmony in that. I mean, what did they do? Opposite of free love. They vilified sex. Vilified it. Like you put it in and boom. And that's Eddie Murphy joke. But that's kind of what they did. They vilified it. And sell condoms, so you don't have that human to human touch. And it wasn't that Fauci was part of that. You still believe that he's somebody. Smith's out here. Oh yeah, Reese, they out here. Yeah, I saw a Charles Manson. I saw a dude that was Charles Manson, or one of the actors of Charles Manson. I saw him, no doubt. Little man, not a big dude, little man. But yeah, I definitely saw him. I was somewhere having lunch, and I was like, I don't know, it wasn't even lunch. Maybe it was, because it was packed. It was a packed place, and I'm like, I looked, like, that's Charles Manson. And he caught my gaze, and he just kind of did a little smile and then kept going. It's like I was saying about non-humans. They don't care anymore. Like used to, they would respond to seeing me, but not anymore. Not anymore. Non-humans, they're about to bring this thing out about UFOs. You see, they're about to make it a part of the government now. So it's going to be nothing but people or beings that's already been here. And they're going to probably have the magical cure. Remember the movie where the aliens wanted all the brothers? Remember that movie? Yes, and that Do you think she could be Megyn Kelly? They did the overview. It looked a lot like Nicole. But again, you had an actor with OJ. She was a wannabe. So, you know, that was the first reality TV program was the OJ trial. So condoms take away the feeling. Yes, they do. Yeah, Jill Clayburgh played in Looking for Mr. Goodbar, the girl that played in the Godfather, Michael's wife. Pull out game strong. Hey man, that's funny. Aliens wanted all the black men. What movie? What's the movie? It was a TV movie. It was a TV movie where they want if you was darker than a paper bag, you had to go. They wanted all the people with melanin, and the story ends there. But that was on. They replayed that recently. I caught it on something. So if somebody else knows the name of that movie, but yeah, they wanted all the melanated people. And at the end, they had a whole thing on, kind of like now, having people push it. It's okay to go with the aliens. They had a Michael Jackson countdown. Do we go or not do we go? And they had the dude who dressed on Soul Train like Michael Jackson on that show. Playing Michael Jackson. They had like a benefit. Do the darkies go or don't we go? Remember Gods and Generals. It's all about the darkies. It's all about the darkies. That was the funniest part of Gods and Generals. The globalists will never find the true love and true happiness, and they can't live with it. No, the chaos. They want constant chaos. That is fear, because chaos doesn't exist without the lead up to chaos is fear. Because fear is not really real. Danger is real, but not fear. Fear is something you make up. Fear is like almost, a virus out there. You can be just as cool about something, and out of nowhere, that fear just hits you. It'd be like almost the fear is like a Smith kind of energy. You just going on your way, and then boom, fear hits you, and you get paranoid, and But fear is like that. And what's funny is fear will make you go into shock. You face fear. Action takes away fear. Disco Demolition Night was a false flag event. Chaos is controlled. There you go. Nepturial Queen. There you go. It is. Disco Demolition Night. But disco, I've talked about that before. Disco was really a beautiful thing because you dressed up. Extended play. I mean, I've said this before. You got an extended play song that play for 20 minutes. You dancing with a woman, and then you turn around and slow dance with her. And a lot of the slow dances was like Always and Forever was almost the whole side. Heat Waves, Always and Forever. That was about a 10 to 15 minute song. So you dancing to a fast record, a moving record for about 20 minutes. You dance another 10 minutes, and before you know it, you've been with this woman for a half hour. So if that ain't an end, what's an end? And that's the good thing about it. You got to spend a half hour with this person, and let me go buy you a drink, go smoke a joint or whatever, however you would do it after that. But that was a great end. Before you know it, you leaving with her. That's what disco gave you. And New Wave didn't even really change that. New Wave just changed. Like they copied New Wave and call it grunge 20 years later. But New Wave, it was the same thing as grunge. You dress down. Like you look at all the New Wave songs, Rock Lobster, Here in My Car, I Am Safe as Can Be, extended play. Whip It, extended play. All these songs was extended plays, or they called them district versions, but extended plays. That's all the music was. It was like, now they come out, hit songs and then people wait for the remix of it. Well, then it was the extended play version. So, and so these are the things that, what time is it? Okay. These are the things that you would consider, you have to consider as you check out everything. I mean, look at celebrities, and when you see them, like uh, you catch them a lot of times where they just look miserable. Like look at some of these ball players' face when they fail. How miserable! It's like the world throws the hammer down. And believe me, I know what it's like to get cut. And you think you got all the skills, and then you told to go home. Do you know how long it takes you to come back from that? You've been told that you can since you was in junior high, grade school. You go through college, knock them out, and then you going through these leagues. And when you told that you can't do it no more, you might have to go overseas and do it. You might have to go in South America and do it. And you do it to be famous. And you can still do it. Don't nobody know. Don't nobody know. It's like not, they've been had where you can get traded to go play in Canada. And there's only 8 teams in Canada, but for the last 70 years, American football, Canadian football, you could get traded to Canada. I don't think a lot of people know that. The first brother that had opportunity to play in the 50s, the Bears weren't going to let him play quarterback, so he got traded to Canada. He was allowed to play quarterback in Canada. He was probably one of the first brothers that probably could have played quarterback in the 50s for the NFL. Yeah. What was the purpose? I don't know. I don't know. Heat wave from here. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, heat wave is part of that, yeah, the funk groove line. But always and forever is, that's one of the great themes of love music. Yeah. I don't know. The purpose of grunge was really no different than new wave. The beat was different. I guess maybe that's what's different than grunge, but the dress was the same. The dress was the same. You dressed down. You dressed down. That's what new wave was. That's why, like, really, when people, I've said this before, hippies was like wore ripped jeans. I've said before when elephant legs came out, women would wear them elephant legs until they tore up around the leg, and that was a style to where it tore up. You'd had a big elephant leg. Some people might remember them as bell bottoms, but it was more elephant leg. Elephant leg was a little bigger than bell bottoms, but anyway, they would wear it until that edge on the pants dragging all the time tore up, and that's how they liked it. And the stores could never duplicate that, but that was a style. So wearing holy jeans, that's been going on forever. That's never, that's not anything new. They bring it back like it's new, but it's nothing new. Hey, Lorenzo, how you doing? Money 3, if I didn't say what's happening to you. Well, guys, I don't mean to cut it short, but I do have a busy day tomorrow, and I've been going on for an hour. Voice a little raspy. But I'm good. I'm fine. It's funny, my son, I had to step in and say, look, you can't be getting drunk forever. I know your best friend just passed, but you can't let that last forever. Because I was watching him do a lot of grief drinking, and I'm like, look, you can't keep doing this. Like I started to show off the young man that passed. I saw his mother today, and we're in Walgreens, and she's a pharmacist, or she's a pharmacist technician. She walks out and comes and gives me a hug. Because during the funeral, I didn't want to bother her. But my point was with my son, it's like she went on and got to work and everything. So, she was like, I'm happy. But you have to move on. You can't let grief last forever. And so he understands, and he got out of it. But it was the first person for him that really had passed. I mean, his grandmother passed, but he didn't know my ex-wife's mother. He didn't really know her. She stayed with us for a couple months in the summer. She visited a few times, but they know my mother. They didn't really know her. So when she passed, and she passed in Michigan, they didn't really know her well enough. But this was somebody for 5 years that, we saw every day. So, well, thank you, Lorenzo. Oh, well, they called bell bottoms flares like 2 decades ago when I was in middle school. Yeah, that was another name for them, flares. And, but bell bottoms go back to the Navy. If you look at the Navy developed bell bottoms because when you went overboard, the pants would kind of hold you up. That was why they invented bell bottoms, because if you went in the water, bell bottoms would float. They would somewhat hold you up. That's why they designed the pants like that. And then it went into popular style. If you watch movies during World War II, you can see some of them, especially the color movies. You might not notice it in black and white movies, but color movies, look at some of the actresses. They're wearing the bell-bottom type pants. So it's a style that, now the 50s, not so much. 60s was all about straight legs. That's why I was telling my son, I loved, because even back when I was a senior in high school, the skinny ties that started coming back and wearing the white shirts, white button-up shirts, and the skinny ties of the 60s that kind of came back like 78, 79. That kind of look that came back, which was a pretty clean kind of look. We were watching something in the stingy brims, again, people don't wear hats like I wear hats because I got some stingy brims, but you see the 60s hats where the fedoras go away, but everybody got the little stingy brims, the short brim hats. So bell bottoms was amazing for temperature regulation. Also, I still fit my Cracker Jack. I fit mine like a Cracker Jack. I remember in junior high was platform shoes for men. That must have been like 72, 73. I think when I was in 7th grade, I was about 5'7". Shoot, I had them 3 inches. I was like 5'10", 5'11". Platform shoes. And then the stores sold them. It wasn't just, you didn't have to just order them from Flag Brothers when the styles come in, because it went from platforms to wedge shoes for men. But men used to wear platforms. Like some of the platform shoes had the heel and the toe. It was kind of like and it's funny, like Prince was so short that Prince, the thing that his ego needed to make him feel taller destroyed his body, because every time you saw Prince, he was wearing heels. But yeah, platform shoes. That was funny. You seeing basketball players already tall and then they wearing platforms. That was kind of funny looking. Well, I do have a busy morning tomorrow, and that clock is about to ring 6 o'clock. Come early, so thank you. I'm gonna try to find another time where I can come that's still in the evening, because I like the evening energies a little more, and I'll start putting the feelers out so you guys can look for me. But thank you for the support. Thank you for the caring. I always appreciate that. I really do. And I'll post when I'll come on again. So this has been a Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank each and every one of you who will watch it in the future, who's watching it now. I truly appreciate it that you'll come listen to a old person that has a few things to say. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Till we meet again.